Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome. I am Dr. Titanisha Timms, clinical psychologist here in Los Angeles, California. Welcome to Dr. T's Corner. I have a very amazing, talented, and special guest joining me this evening. We're going to be discussing something very powerful that we want to put as many of you in touch with in terms of information. If you don't know, this is something that we need you to know, and we need everyone to begin to spread the word so that others can begin to know what's happening. But I'm going to let this gentleman pretty much take over with tonight's topic. But let me begin by introducing him and bringing him to the floor. I'm going to let him pretty much introduce himself. He has so many accolades. But I bring to you a very dear friend of mine, a very intelligent brother, Dr. Carl Bernard Mack.
See, Doc, that's the kind of stuff that'll get you beat up when you start calling me by my middle name. How you doing this evening?
I am blessed, Dr. Mack. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on this evening for you to join me. It is always a blessing and a pleasure. I know that you did the show with me before, so thank you so much for agreeing to come back. How have you been?
Doc, I've been given what's going on in this country. I've been moved to mobilize, and what I'm talking specifically. So I've been doing a lot of research of late. So I'm doing my seventh project, and if you have a copy of my fourth calendar, you'll see it's 366 days of just our history. And then I did a fifth edition of that, which I haven't published yet. And it's 366 days, all dedicated to Black women. And then the sixth version of it is 366 days of all sports. And now I'm working as we speak now. I just broke away from the research where I'm researching Blacks in science and STEM fields. And so I feel very compelled to do even more around our history because our history is under assault right now. And it just appears that a lot of us just aren't really too concerned about it. And so it's very disappointing to me from that perspective. But on the other hand, um, there's a quote by Dr. Woodson, and it's interesting that the quote comes from Dr. Woodson, given that he's the father of Black history. But he wrote in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro, he wrote the following. He said, real education means to inspire people to live more abundantly, to begin with life as you find it, then to make it better. But the instructions thus far given most Negroes in colleges and universities would work to the contrary. In many cases, it simply increases the number of malcontents who offer no solution to the problems about which they complain. And so from that quote, I'm complaining that our history is under assault. So now the question becomes, what am I going to do about it? And if I do nothing about it, in the words of Dr. Woodson, that would make me a malcontent. So that's what I'm up to these days.
Okay. Okay. I like that. We like that. I know the power of Dr. Mack. So I know and I
No,
understand that once you no, hold on. Once you get behind something, it moves. Um, and that is a fact. So before you begin, I would just like for you to tell our listeners and viewers a bit about your history. Because when you get behind something, it becomes a power force
well,
or a force of power.
don't really know what to say about that. But anyway, um, I'm from Mississippi, from Jackson, born and raised in Jackson. Went to Mississippi State, studied mechanical engineering, graduated from there, went to Seattle in like 1987. And I lived in Seattle for like 18 years, working as a mechanical engineer, designing wastewater treatment facilities and the likes. And At the time that I graduated from Mississippi State, I couldn't tell you 100 words about the Black experience. So here I am, a formally educated man, and I couldn't give you 100 words about the Black experience. And so, in layman's terms, I was nothing more than an educated fool, right? That's the way I view myself. I was an educated fool when I left Mississippi State. But I go to Seattle, and at that time, you hadn't seen that many Black engineers, so I was special to them, and I was special to myself. I was special ed, if you want to put it that way. But it was just, I just didn't have that knowledge, and that was, I learned later that was detrimental to me. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I very much got involved with the community, working with young people. And so one day I was at work, and this white coworker of mine who was a history major before he got an engineer, and he came in and he was telling me about Henry O. Flipper. And for those who don't know, Henry O. Flipper is the first Black to graduate from the first engineering school in America. The first engineering school in America is West Point Military Academy. And he graduated from there in 1877. So as this white guy is telling me this, I'm amazed. I thought the story was phenomenally interesting. But at the same time, in the midst of my amazement, I was also embarrassed that this white man knew more about my culture and my history than I did. I mean, I didn't know anything. So I'm sitting, he's looking at me like, of course I know. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I know. That look, mm-hmm. That deer in the headlight look. Sure. That was the look I had. Mm-hmm. But then ultimately, God gave me the concept of studying our history and teaching it in a way that I could make it more enjoyable for others. And so I went down that road. And as I went down that road, I got to learn about organizations like the NAACP, of which I have a supreme amount of respect for, of which I'm a life member, and of which I served as president of the Seattle King County NAACP. And during my time of service to the organization and to our community, our branch was awarded the Class 1A Selheim Award as the best branch in the country by the late chairman of the board, Julian Bond. And it was shortly after that I caught the attention, because I'm a mechanical engineer, because I'm socially conscious. I caught the attention of the National Society of Black Engineers, headquartered here in Alexandria, Virginia. And the mission statement of the National Society of Black Engineers, or short, you would know them as NSBE. The mission statement is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact their community. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I was doing as an engineer. I became socially conscious. I tried to positively impact my community. So when they saw me and saw the things I was doing within the framework of the NAACP, they asked me to apply to become the executive director of the organization. I did so, and so I ended up moving here. And so that's how I got to the East Coast from Seattle, and I've been here since '05. I've been retired now for 13 years. And in my retirement, I just tried to be a good daddy to my boys and just play golf every day I could. So that's that. And then this recent calling came because of what I'm seeing with, DeSantis easily is the poster child for it, but, there is an all-out assault on our history. And for those of our viewers who are listening or watching, Doc, I would pose just this question. I'm sure that, most of you are very educated, as you are, Doc.
Thank you.
But if I was to ask 1,000 Black people the following question, I am very confident that damn near 98 or better % of us will not be able to answer the question. And that is, most of us know that slavery was a huge part of our experience in this country, huge part of it. But if I ask most Black folks, what year and what month did we come to this country, most would struggle to answer that question. And then if I ask the question, given that slavery was 244 years of our experience, what was the exact date that slavery ended? Now, you would think that as Black folks, at a minimum, if we don't know jack shit about our history, we at least know that we were enslaved. However, I have yet to find a person who could tell me the exact date that slavery ended. And it's not like it's a hidden fact. It's sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's sitting dormant in our history, which is the problem, um, that I find with us as a people. We'll complain about the fact that, just like the other day, I listened to Draymond Green um,
Oh boy.
at a press conference with a Black History shirt on, criticizing Black History Month, saying, well, our history ought to be every day. And so we shouldn't have Black History Month. I watched an old clip of what's his name? He was on 60 Minutes. Black
Oh,
Morgan Freeman.
uh-huh.
Morgan Freeman.
Okay, Morgan. Okay. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm.
And Morgan Freeman went off about we shouldn't have Black History Month. And it was apparent to me from both of those people that they have no idea how February became Black History Month. Because, see, if we're going to say that our history ought to be every day of the year, then why don't we build off of what Dr. Woodson did? Because they're speaking as though a white man gave us. And I know you remember, it used to be the joke, February, Black History Month, they gave us the coldest and shortest month out of the year. That used to be the running joke.
Right.
And the reason we said they gave us is because we didn't know how February became Black History Month. So, let me just start with how that ended up happening. And so Dr. Woodson, who was born in New Canton, Virginia, December 19th, 1875, and for the first 20 years of his life, he couldn't go to school. He was a direct descendant of enslaved people. And so he finally started his education at the age of 20, self-taught. Took him less than 2 years to graduate high school. After that, he went to Berea College in Berea, Kentucky, and then ultimately ended up going to Harvard. So he is the first Black who is a direct descendant of slaves, of the enslaved people, to receive a PhD from Harvard. And he got that PhD in 1912. Now, I didn't say he was the first Black to receive a PhD from Harvard. I said he was the first Black who was a direct descendant of enslaved parents to get a PhD from Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dr. Woodson understood the importance of our history. So in 1915, he started a group called the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. In 1921, he started another group called Associated Publishers. And these two groups, they had 4 objectives. Number 1 is to promote the writing and research of Black history. Number 2, promote the publishing of quality Black information. Number 3, promote the study of Black history. And then promote the collection of our history. So the first observance of what we now know as Black History Month occurred in 1926, the second week in February of 1926. At the time, it was called Negro History Week. They replaced the word Negro with the word Black, and in the mid-'70s, what we knew as Black History Week became Black History Month. But now you have to go to why is it that Dr. Woodson chose the second week in February of 1926? He chose that second week in honor of 2 men, Abraham Lincoln, who was born on February 12th, and Frederick Douglass, who was born on February 14th. But Douglass didn't know the exact date of his birthday, but when he was a child, his mother used to call him My Little Valentine. So Frederick Douglass chose February 14th as his birthday. So again, in honor of those 2 men, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a Black man, chose the second week in February for us as Black folks to sit down and study us as Black folks. He didn't ask white folks for permission. He didn't do that, And so then this thing became a month-long celebration. So now, because we don't know the history of it, you got somebody as influential as Morgan Freeman would sit his ass on 60 Minutes and say some Jerry Lewis bullshit like what he said. Then you turn around and you got an influencer like Draymond Green. And I love both brothers, but right now I'm hot as fish grease at both of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now he's going to sit up there, well, I don't care about Black history, like he's all intelligent. And again, if I ask him to give me 100 words about the Black experience, he would stutter all the way through through the situation.
Right, right.
So again, because we don't know our history, now we throwing shade on what Dr. Carter G. Woodson did. Well, since we're so apt to say, well, our history ought to be more than just Black History Month. Then the question becomes, what are we doing every day outside of the month of February? And I
Right.
can tell you personally, having spoken at more Black History programs than I care to think of, I damn sure ain't getting calls for Black History presentations if it ain't the month of February.
Right.
Black people.
Right. Right. Why y'all not calling Dr.
So,
Mack? He's available.
listen, it ain't about calling me. It's about calling on the foundation and building on the foundation of Dr. Woodson.
Right.
Why ain't we studying our history beyond the month of February?
Right.
But we're quick to criticize and throw shade at what he's done without even understanding what he did.
Right.
And so now I feel this calling on me. And I, a couple of Thursdays ago, I had just come back from Seattle at the University of Washington. And then shortly thereafter, I went to Kansas City, Missouri, and did a Black History lecture there. And when I got home, I was just amazed at how little we still know about our experience. And then given this all-out assault, I mean, Dr. T, we must understand, they are banning books by great authors like Toni Morrison. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, let's
The
talk
moment,
about that. That is so
sure.
crazy to me. Now, why? Why are they banning The Bluest Eye, Beloved? Why are these books being why are they banning them? What is the
You know,
insecurity on us knowing about our history? What
because
is it?
there is nothing more powerful than to understand your history. Nothing. And again, Sister Morrison is just writing fiction. But when you get inside history, they absolutely are banning. Now they're banning, if you teach anything that speaks of racism, even in the founding of America, some little Karen can come in, somebody can come in and just say, no, I'm offended, don't want that. And they just shut it down. They shut it. Now, I will tell you what I think the genesis of this is.
Okay.
I believe that, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was March 25th, 2020, May 25th,
Okay.
2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
On May 25th, 2020, we all sat in during the pandemic and we turned on our television sets and we watched a recording of a young Black girl as she recorded George Floyd being murdered by Derek Chauvin, having his knee on his neck. We all watched that. And we watched it horrifically. So now they want to call it the woke movement. And then you got to understand something about America.
Okay.
Whenever Black folks move to anything that's positive, they're going to find a way to make you feel bad about it. So now for being woke, what the fuck? Doc, explain to me what is so negative about being woke.
There's
But they'll
nothing.
say, that's right. But they'll come back and talk about they will gaslight you for, quote, being woke. Well, you can turn on all the gas you want to because I need to be woke. I've been asleep for too long.
Right.
So now with the murder of George Floyd,
Yes.
This is what America saw. First of all, you saw the largest protest in the history of this country.
Right.
There was not a state in these 50 United States that did not have a movement to protest what happened to George Floyd. Nowhere.
Right.
That's one thing. But then when they started seeing these Confederate monuments come down, that's when they got inside their feelings about some stuff.
Right.
And they decided, okay, we need to start stopping this whole history thing, because if they didn't understand the Confederate monuments, nobody would have been taking them down. But now let's just stop and think for a minute, Doc. Now, you're out in California, so I'm not sure that you all have as many Confederate monuments there as, say, I would see here in the state of Virginia or from my home state of Mississippi. Now, in Mississippi,
yeah.
Go ahead.
We probably got them, but we probably don't see them as readily in the immediate city of Los Angeles. I'll say it that way.
Okay.
You go out to some of these,
Okay.
we got places.
Okay. All right. Well, places here is everywhere. You drive down through the heart of Alexandria, and you're going to pass Confederate monuments. You try to go from Virginia to D.C., you got to go down Jefferson Davis Highway. They're everywhere here, everywhere. Every emphasis on everywhere
Okay.
here. So these monuments started coming down, right? And then there became a debate in some people's mind. Southerners wanted to say, well, this is my heritage, this is my culture, this has nothing to do with the institution of slavery. And then black folks saying, no, it had every damn thing to do with the institution of slavery. Everything, everything. So
Absolutely.
you had both sides arguing about it.
Uh-huh.
And so what I'm trying to say to folks is you don't have to argue these issues. History is pretty clear about what was the Civil War fought over. So that becomes the question. Why was the Civil War fought? And so because there's not been scholarship to our experience, we'll sit there and when they say, well, it was fought over states' rights. Yeah. That's what it was fought over. Yeah. The right of the southern states to own us, to work us for free. That's what states' right meant. So clearly, and I want to be as clearly as I can. In the state, if you look at the letters of secession, and I'm not going to get too deep into this history, not into this particular history lesson, but if you just go and look at the letter of secession from the state of Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
my state, my home state, in 1861, between January 7th and January 26th, they
Okay.
put together, the great fathers of the state of Mississippi got together, and they drafted and ultimately published this letter of secession. This letter stating very clearly, here is why the great state of Mississippi is divorcing itself from the United States. This is why we're leaving the Union. And the letter says this, in this momentous step, which our state has taken of dissolving its connection with the government of which we so long formed a part, it is but just that we should declare the prominent reasons which have induced our course. The next paragraph says this, Doc. Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. Its labor supplies the product of which constitutes by far the largest, most important portions of commerce on the earth. These products are peculiar to the climate, virgin on the tropical regions, and by the imperious laws of nature, none but the black race can bear exposure to the tropical sun. Now, Doc,
Why
to
dare
your
you
people
laugh,
who are,
Dr. Mack? Why dare you laugh?
yeah, I'm gonna tell you why I'm laughing because white folks can be funny. I mean, listen, because I'm laughing because I'm the man on the street and I'm gonna interpret what they just said to you.
Okay.
What the folks in Mississippi said this. Let me be very clear about why we left the Union. We leaving the Union to protect slavery. And you must understand that because of slavery, we can now harvest the most valuable product in the world today, and that's cotton. But I got to tell you something about this cotton. In Mississippi, it's hot. We got tropical hot, kind of hot down here. But God is a good God, and God made the black man to come down here and pick this cotton. In layman's terms, that's what they just said.
Right.
Right. So not only did Mississippi say that, but if you go and read the letters of the vice president of the Confederacy, a man named Alexander Stephens tells you very clearly why we are fighting the Civil War. And he says this, and in the speech, for those of you who may be interested in history, I want you to look up the Cornerstone speech. March of 1861, the Cornerstone speech by Alexander Stephens. Alexander Stephens was the vice president of the Confederacy. Now, the reason he called it a cornerstone is because in any foundation, the cornerstone is the most solid part of the foundation. So what Alexander Stephens said, the cornerstone of the Confederacy was the institution of slavery. He says this. He says, in particular, our new government, he's talking about the government of the Confederacy. He said, our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideas. Its foundations are laid. Its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race is his natural and normal condition. And this, our new government, the government of the Confederacy, is the first in the history of the world based upon its great physical, philosophical, and moral truth. See, when white folks want to sit here and tell me that the Confederate flag represents their heritage, I have to remind them of what Alexander Stephens said. And then they look at me, Doc, and they say, Alexander who? Right. This is what we have to do. We must get inside of our history, not just to understand, again, to understand from the standpoint that here they want to say, reading about Toni Morrison offends them. Fool, walking past your Confederate statues every damn day offends me.
Right.
Growing up in Mississippi under the Confederate flag that's embedded in the state flag offended me every day of my natural black life.
Right.
But you didn't seem to care about that.
Right.
Every single day. This is why we have to have that scholarship of our history, so that Draymond don't sit there and make an ass of himself. Morgan Freeman don't get on there and not sound like the voice of God that we're used to, but instead sound like a damn demon.
Right.
We don't need that.
Right. We don't.
We need the scholarship inside of our experience so that we could be a part of it. The same way, Doc.
Yes.
Right now, there's conversations going on around reparations.
Yes.
Right? I think y'all got some going down there on the West Coast. Folks talking about reparations.
Thanks to Dr. Shirley Nash Weber, Secretary of State for the great state of California, who is a personal friend of mine, mentor and professor out of San Diego State University. Yes, shout out to Dr. Shirley Nash Weber, sister.
Okay, well, Dr. T, can you please tell me on what basis is Dr. Nash recommending reparations?
On what basis?
Yes.
40 acres and a mule.
Okay. Good. Now, let me say this to you. 40 acres and a mule, in and of itself, most people may not understand 40 acres and a mule, but in and of itself, now let me put even more ammunition behind 40 acres and a mule. And I hope that you can talk to Dr. Nash and remind her of this, because I'm sure she knows.
I'm going to take notes, Doc.
Okay, get your pencil out.
I got you.
So for those who don't know, what happened is, so during the Civil War again, when Sherman is on his march to the sea, Sherman is burning down everything in his path. And as he burns these plantations down, he burns Atlanta to the damn ground, right?
Right.
So Sherman is saying to us, black folks, hey, just stay on the plantation. You're slowing me down. And you got to remember, the only way that black folks were freed as a result of the Emancipation Proclamation was war. It ain't like white folks in the South said, oh, well, Lincoln said that, we're going to let you go. No,
because it took 2 years later.
No. That's all bullshit, too.
After
But I'll tell you about that later. No, but I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
But anyway, as Sherman is going, we're smart enough to know, follow the force that's freeing us. So we all join forces with Sherman. So when Sherman gets to Savannah, he meets with the black leadership of Savannah, and he says to them plainly, do you want your own land, or do you want to live amongst these people? And we're like, come on, Sherman. We want our own land. So Sherman issued what is known as Special Field Order Number 15. And Special Field Order Number 15 says the following. It says that the islands from Charleston, from the abandoned rice field, 30 miles back from the sea, and the country bordering the St. John River all the way down in Florida, this land is set aside for the exclusive settlements of blacks now made free by the president in his proclamation. Each family is to get 40 acres of tillable land in a government-issued mule. Now, when he issued Special Field Order Number 15, Sherman was not out there acting on his own accord, acting like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Out there with Sherman was Lincoln's Secretary of War, a man named Edward Stanton. So it ain't like Sherman was just being a renegade. Stanton was there. Now, furthermore, if you want to know about Sherman, Sherman was one of the most racist mofos you can imagine. Sherman was like, look, let me make sure you understand something. He said this to Lincoln, to the president. Sherman said, look, ain't no, and he used to use the N-word like better than any black person I ever had, ever knew. But Sherman would say, I ain't letting no ends in this, it serve under me. And none of my generals, none of my commanding officers better bring no ends under my forces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how racist he was. But nonetheless, Sherman was a devout patriot, as far as it comes to following the will of the president.
Okay.
So Sherman issued Special Field Order number 15. Special Field Order number 15 went up to the Congress as Senate Bill number 60. Lyman Turnbull of Illinois gets it going. So now Charles Sumner, the senator from Massachusetts, he helps get it through the Senate. Thaddeus Stevens from Pennsylvania helps gets it through the House. So the bill has gotten through the Senate. It's gotten through the House to give us 40 acres and a mule. The only thing it needs is the president's signature. But on April 14th, 1865, Lincoln is in Ford's Theater. John Wilkes Booth walks up behind him, shoots him in the head. This is Lincoln's second term as president. Andrew Johnson becomes president, and Andrew Johnson vetoes Senate Bill number 60. Then they began to confiscate all the land that was doled out to black folks. They began to pardon all the ex-Confederates. Now remember this. When they led when the South broke away from the Union, remember what the oath says. I swear to uphold the Constitution and protect it from enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
You don't get to be no bigger traitor than when you declare war on the United States.
Right.
And that's what these Southerners did.
Right.
But as white folks would do to white folks, they're very Look at this January 6th debacle that just happened.
Right.
Everybody knows what that would have been like if it would have been black folks.
Oh, Lord.
Slaughter.
Would have been a bomb.
But when white folks are dealing with white folks, as mad as they might be, they have compassion within each other to deal with that. But let that have been a Black Lives Matter movement breaking into the Capitol, we would still be drying up blood.
Yeah.
And I know you know what I'm saying. So,
absolutely.
To all of that, now, but here's the thing that I want people to know.
Okay.
You were pleased. You would be very pleased if you got your 40 acres, wouldn't you, Doc?
Yeah.
Yes.
Interest.
And most of us would be. Most of us would. But now, let me compare this. I want you to, Doc, if you were to look up the 1862 Homestead Act,
mm-hmm.
and this act was passed, I believe, on March. And a lot of this I'm trying to come from memory. But the 1862 Homestead Act was passed in March of 1862. Okay. Lincoln passed this law. And you know what this law did?
What did it do? This
law gave to every white immigrant, I don't give a damn, even if you were not a citizen of the United States.
Okay. This
law gave away 160 acres to every white family that applied. And this law, the 1862 Homestead Act, it gave away over 270 million acres of land. So here we are, wishing like hell we could just get 40 acres and a mule, when white families were getting 4 times that amount, 160 acres of land. And trust and believe me when I tell you, they got it. They got it.
And all we want is 40.
All you wanted was 40. Now, but this is what I want for folks to understand.
All right.
I want you to understand this. I want you to just slow down for a minute.
Okay.
Now, I didn't tell you what day slavery ended. So since I put that out there, let me go ahead and close that up. Slavery ended on December 6th, 1865.
Right.
That's when Georgia became the 27th state to ratify the proposal to end slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other reason why your history is important, this is why I find Juneteenth to be quite insulting to us as black folks. Because you just said they got the information 2.5 years late. Well, let me tell you why that doesn't make any sense, Doc. Let me just explain to you very quickly. These 11 states seceded from the Union, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We now know that they had a vice president named Alexander Stephens, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They also had a president by the name of Jefferson Davis. They had a Congress. They wrote a constitution. So these 11 states viewed themselves as their own nation. Does that make sense to you?
Okay, I'm following.
Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yes.
They got a president, they got a vice president, they got a Congress, and they just wrote a constitution. So does that make sense that they are acting as a nation?
Yes.
Okay, then if they did this in 1861, when Lincoln signed the Emancipation on January 1st, 1863, telling them what to do, Doc, that's like you and I married. We've been divorced for 2 years, but I'm telling you, you need to pay me child support and pay me rent. You like, look, fool, we ain't married no more. I ain't responsible for nothing with you. That is the way the southern states looked at America. That's like Trudeau, the prime minister of Canada, trying to tell the American citizens what to do. We like, man, go on with that nonsense. You ain't got no jurisdiction over us.
Right.
That is the way the new nation looks. So when we start playing this sad song, oh, they got the word 2.5 years late. Okay, let's assume you got the word that day. What were you going to do? Go up to the slave master and say, hey, I'm free. Lincoln said I'm free. Well, we fighting a war. Walk your black ass. Try to walk your black ass up off this plantation. I'll show you how free you are.
Right.
That's what would have happened, which is why we had to wait for Sherman to come down with the forces. That's how we were being free.
Right.
But see, Doc, this is so simple to me. And if you sat down, and if any of us sat down and studied it, it would make sense to us. But because we don't know our history, now we allow people to tell us these myths about our history. Well, the reason why Juneteenth should be a national holiday is because they kept the word from them for 2.5 years. Man, come on. Well, no, now we done understood why that doesn't make sense. Number two, they said, well, these were the last black folks enslaved. The Civil War is over. They're the last black people enslaved. Well, Doc, if you go back and you study our history, all I need you to do is remember this. There were 5 border, well, it started off as 4 border states, but there became 5 border states, but I'm not going to get into the details of it. It's a simple question. Two of the border states were Kentucky and Delaware. Kentucky and Delaware did not abolish slavery. They didn't get rid of slavery until December 6, 1865, when Georgia became the 27th of 36 states to ratify it. The reason I'm telling you that is because on June 20th, a day after Juneteenth, there were 225,000 of our ancestors still enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
So when America turned around, when Kamala Harris got up there, when everybody got up there and said, we are commemorating the end of America's original sin. No. See, this ain't like Christmas where you don't know when little baby Jesus was born. You don't know when he was born. So they arbitrarily just give you a day. You know when slavery ended in this country.
Right.
At least those of us who have studied it knows.
Right.
But for those without scholarship, oh, let's just take it.
Right.
Now, I'm going to tell you this, Doc. What is your birthday, baby? Tell me again.
September 23rd.
Okay. Can I celebrate your birthday? Now, if I want to make your life a national holiday, can I make it September 22nd? Can I make it August 22nd? No. You want September 23rd. That's what you want.
In 2 months.
See, you're not gonna go tell America. You're not gonna go tell America we're gonna celebrate your independence on July 3rd.
Right.
America ain't gonna hear that shit.
No.
And if you married, brothers, go in there a day before your anniversary Oh, baby, happy anniversary. That's better than being late, but she's
Sure
still
enough.
looking at you kind of cockeyed. She's still looking at you kind of cockeyed. You know what I'm saying? It's
So,
important to get it right. It's important to get it
right.
right. I'm going
It
to leave it there.
is.
Go ahead.
It is. And that's why, and that's what angers me. And I know that it's more than just Ron DeSantis down in Florida. It,
Oh, believe that.
and it angers me because how should he even be allowed to bring this up? Why is this even a conversation or allowed to even be a topic? Who has the right to water down, to lessen, to take away, to make a decision that our history cannot be taught, should not be taught, because it angers, when this is something that actually happened and took place? And then,
Okay, so Doctor, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you know me, I get a little riled
No,
up.
no, no. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
And then I can't really be quoted, but I could paraphrase a little bit. I was
Okay.
looking on
Okay.
on YouTube, and there was a sister on there,
Mm-hmm.
and she was angry because
Mm-hmm.
not only were they taking our history out of books, but they were lying
Mm-hmm.
about the history. And I think it was something to the tune as to how we uh, were brought over to America. I forget the specifics, but it's just why are you laughing, Dr. Mack? Why are you laughing?
Because, well, I'm going to tell you why I'm laughing. Because
Okay,
the answers is this. Number one, see, you heard the cliche, the pen is mightier than the sword.
absolutely.
See, what we need to see, without history, it's impossible for us as black folks to think critically. It is. I don't give a shit what you do. You can sit around here and think you smart if you want to. But history, without that history, you cannot think critically. Now,
Right.
this is what I want you to understand. There was a time when America kept us in line with violence. And because of the onset of the civil rights movement, how effective it became, she realized she couldn't be out there on public TV putting the bells and hoses on little black children and beating old black men and black women side to head as they're trying to walk across the bridge. It just don't look good. So she realized she needed to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
She needed a new weapon. Her new weapon became politics.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new weapon. So what did Trump do when Trump became president? He said, look, the rest of them playing checkers. They think we happy because we won the election. No, 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 no. Trump started appointing all these judges. And even though Trump ain't in there no more, his judges are still there.
Right.
And now they're empowered to do what they want to do.
Right.
And because we seem to ignore our history, here's the question. How many black folks, tell me the black contingent that you've seen put together a movement to challenge DeSantis? Where have our black lawyers? The moment that they instituted affirmative action, white folks were suing to stop it.
Right.
Where's the black legal mind to sue DeSantis? Where's the black scholarship to challenge what they're trying to say about our history? It's quiet as a church mouse. You can hear a mouse piss on cotton, which
Yeah.
is why I want to go out and I want to talk. I want to just sit down and have black history talks just like you and I are having. I want to have them in churches. And I'm not trying to get there on a Sunday or a Wednesday. I'll take any day of the week. I don't want to get paid. I don't want none of that. I mean, if you can help me to get to California or wherever church you want to, all you got to do is have somebody to say he can sleep on the couch. That'll be fine. Make me a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'll be fine. And then I want to sit down and I want to talk to our people about our history. I want us to start thinking critically, to get inside of it. It is a beautiful, beautiful history.
Yes.
You know, Doc, I told you I'm doing some history right now and I'm into the science.
Yes.
Let me just tell you just a couple of little fun facts to just
Sure.
kind of lighten this up a little bit.
Okay.
I want you to Google a sister named Clarice Phelps. I think that's her first name, Clarice Phelps. You know what this sister did?
Phelps.
That's right, Phelps, Phelps. I think it's Clarice Phelps.
Okay.
You know what that sister did? And she did this on April 5th, 2010. She was part of a team that discovered a new element to the periodic table in chemistry.
Wow.
It was element number 117.
Wow.
Now, I haven't done all of history. I literally just came across this today, right? See, Now, of
Wow.
all the people that's ever walked the planet, if you look at the periodic chart, what do we got? Like 117, 118 elements. That's it. And she's
Wow.
the first black woman to ever find one.
Amazing.
Just some amazing shit. Now,
Wow. Way to
here's another
go,
interesting.
Miss Clarice.
Yeah. Here's another one, and I think her first name is Clarice. I mean, but I know her last name is Phelps, so I apologize for that.
No,
Like I
that's
said, I just
correct.
did it
It
today.
is. It's Clarice Phelps. Miss
Okay,
Clarice Phelps.
okay, good. So then here's another one. Let's take how many Grammys do you think Diana Ross has won?
Grammys.
Grammys.
I don't know why 38 popped in my head. I'm gonna say
Okay, that's a fair number. That's a fair number.
okay.
But when we go and look at all of the outstanding hits that Diana Ross had, Diana Ross has never won a Grammy ever.
What?
Look it up right now. Look it up. I want you to Google it right now.
She
How many
holds a
Grammys has
Grammy.
Diana Ross won?
Is that a Grammy
What's the
now?
answer? No, I ain't talking about no Lifetime Achievement Grammy. They gave you that one.
Okay,
Google,
we're looking.
Google the question.
Nick is googling.
There you go. Look it up, Nick. I like Nick. That
Z-
Nick's a bad
he
man.
sure is. Wait till you meet him in person. 0. Oh
That's right.
wait, hold on.
No, she ain't won now. He was right. 0.
2.
No, she ain't won 2. She ain't won 2.
He said
They
no.
may have gave her 2. She ain't won 2. Ask him for what song. Ask him for what
For
song.
what song? It doesn't say.
I know it doesn't say she won. Now,
She should.
now, while you busy playing with that little thing,
She should have won for
but
"Touch Me in the Morning." That's a
she
beautiful
should have
song.
won for a whole bunch of songs.
That's definitely
She
one.
should have won the moment she walked on stage. That was Diana Ross. That's the boss. Okay, but anyway, but now here's this thing. Um, a black woman. Now, do you think it's fascinating? A black woman would be named head of a medical department.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, do you know in this country there has never ever been a woman? Well, the first woman that was named head of a math department. I cannot remember. I'm struggling with her name right now. Hang on a second. It's going to come to me. I'm getting so damn old. Okay, but let me tell you who she is. I want you to look up Ross Lee. That's Diana Ross's sister. So Diana Ross's sister, first of all, her sister is a doctor. And
I
this
think I knew that.
sister, I had no clue about this. First, I didn't know her sister was a doctor, number one. And I damn sure didn't know that her sister is the first black woman to ever be named head of a medical school.
Wow.
Never knew it.
Wow.
So those are some things. Now, here's another thing. Here's another funny one. Now, right now, down here in D.C., the big deal in D.C. right now is the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh
right?
my. Beautiful. Oh, I wish I could come.
Okay. Beautiful. Let me make it even more beautiful. Them damn cherry blossoms was about to die out. They were finna be gone. Right? See, the cherry blossom started under the Taft administration, where Japan gave First Lady Taft some, and then they kept giving them. Next thing you know, the damn thing got diseased out. But there was this black man from D.C. who was the first black to be part of the arboretum here. So he gets in there, and he's studying.
So beautiful.
Next thing you know, he comes up. His name is Roland Jefferson. Look up Roland Jefferson. Jefferson he's working with these trees. Now he's working with folks in Japan. And he creates a strand of apple blossoms that are now strong enough. They even sent some to Minnesota. And Japan, even in Japan where we got the trees from, their trees became sick and was dying off. And on February 24th, I believe it was 1981, First Lady Nancy Reagan gave the Japanese people a cherry tree from the black man to save their cherry trees. I just want you to know them cherries are even more beautiful now.
Is that an excerpt
So
from
I
your
ain't gonna
calendar?
say it again.
Is that an excerpt from your upcoming calendar?
Yeah. I ain't putting none of that out. I told you I just discovered these today. So I might be a little I may be a little off on my facts. I just looked at it. I ain't wrote about it. I was just sitting there reading them. I'm formulating some things right now, trying to put it together. But it's a lot of things. Now, I will tell you this. Here's another thing. When it comes to the NFL in your area, most people think that the athlete that integrated professional sports in the modern era was Jackie Robinson. Au contraire. Au contraire. See, at that school that y'all got down there called, I think it's UCLA. At that school, there were three, because Jackie Robinson went to UCLA, right?
I don't know.
See, you ought to know, Doc. That's your hometown. That's where you hang out. You're supposed to know. So Jackie Robinson, I believe, went to UCLA. And so Jackie Robinson played football and baseball. But there's two other guys that played. A guy named Woody Strode, who ultimately became an actor, and a guy named Kenny Washington. Now, Kenny Washington was the best of the three athletes. As a matter of fact, Kenny Washington was voted College Player of the Year. But when he graduated in 1940 and played in the College All-Star game, they would not draft him. Nobody from the NFL would draft him. Now, why wouldn't they draft him? Because the NFL had a gentleman's agreement that they weren't going to bring no blacks in the league. They started that in 1933. So in 1945, the Cleveland Rams came to Los Angeles, and they wanted to play in your newly built state-of-the-art Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Coliseum, baby. Still there.
That's where they wanted to play. So they had a whole big presentation, and in the audience was a black man named Haley Harden. And so when the Rams and the commission, when they finished their little back and forth with each other, Haley Harden took to the floor, eloquent. He stood up like a beautiful black stallion, and Harden said to him, "Now, before you all think that you're going to make a decision on whether or not the Cleveland Rams will become the LA Rams, I want to remind you of something." So he told them about the history of the NFL that started in 1920. He told them about all the black players that played in the NFL from 1920 to 1933. Then he reminded the NFL of how they ran every black out with their so-called gentleman's agreement. He says, and now you come to our city, want to play in our glorious LA Memorial Coliseum that was built with tax dollars from every race, hue, and nationality of citizens that's in Los Angeles, which means black folks, our tax dollars helped build that stadium. And now you think, Mr. Little Cleveland Ram, that you're going to roll up in here and we're going to let you play in our stadium when you're telling us we can't play for your team. Is that what you're saying? And the white man said, oh, my God. I didn't know that history. I apologize. Harden said, man, I don't want your apology. I want some results. And guess what the Rams did? The Rams signed Kenny Washington to an NFL contract, making him the first black to ever play in the modern era in any of the four major professional sports: football, baseball, basketball, or hockey. Wow. Kenny Washington, right there in Los Angeles, because of your city. Thank you, Doc. I want to say thank you to you. That's what I got to say. I'm done.
Thank you.
I'm not talking to you no more. I don't want you to call me no more. Don't talk to me no more, okay?
You can't live without me.
Well, this is true, Doc. I apologize for you, but insinuating that I could.
So what can we as a nation, if anything, do to help Florida deal with Ron DeSantis?
Mm-mm, don't worry about him. We got him. The question should be, what should we do now? Doc, I could tell you um, that there are so many things that I see clearer now because of history.
Right.
I would just employ our people to get inside of our history. And if you need a starting point, Doc, I promise you, if folks want me, I just feel like I'm on a call and that I want to talk, I want to teach. Now, I want to do my research. And Doc, you know me well enough that, I don't want to speak no more. Before this calling came to me, all I wanted to do was play golf every day. You know that.
18-hole Baptist.
I want to be 18-hole Baptist. That's where I hang out. And I have to deal with little baby Jesus. And I hate playing with him, Doc, because when I do, he cheats. Now, you can say what you want to about Jesus, but I'm going to tell you this. He does cheat.
Little baby Jesus.
I mean, all of a sudden, no, let me tell you how he cheats. We play it, and there's water on a hole, right? How come if he hooks his ball skips or walks on water, my ball goes in the water? And he looks at me. I say, it ain't right. That's the way he cheats. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Tell me, well, that's just how it goes. No, that ain't just how it goes. That's what you do, little man.
You know what?
So I got to talk. I'm gonna talk to Big Jesus about him, but the little baby Jesus, he's a little tough on him. But anyway, that's what I like to do. But now I feel this calling. I feel like little baby Jesus put this calling on me to say, Carl, you know the history. Let's go out and talk about it. So, I done said to anybody, financially, I'm fine. I'm not doing it for money. I just need our people to understand our culture, our history. That's all.
Yeah.
Just you got to start reading it. The days of ignoring it, they cost us every day. We need to be able to have a critical conversation about the issue of reparations. We need to have a critical conversation about the fact that our children don't know who they are. We don't know who we are. That's an embarrassment. Like I said, I can put 1,000 folks in front of me and say, okay, we can all agree that slavery was a part of it, but tell me what day did slavery ended. 1,000 people? Shit, most people wouldn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real confident about that.
Right.
Same thing with Dr. King. We've allowed America to weaponize Dr. King and reduce him to one speech and one phrase. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children gonna live in the nation. Blah, 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 blah. But if I ask most people to name me 3 other speeches written by Dr. King and give a critical analysis of them, most of us cannot do it. We cannot do it.
Right.
But then we always talk about, well, our history is more than Dr. King. Well, shit, if it's more than Dr. King, it would appear to me that you know everything there is to know about Dr. King, when in fact you don't know a damn thing about it.
Right.
I'm just saying, Doc.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Education
but I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right. I want us to be informed. That's all.
Sure. Well, if you put it in a book, but if you're willing to go read the book to the people, anybody listening out there,
Let's sit down. Uncle Carl just want to read you a bedtime story, baby.
So Dr. Carl Mack is indeed offering his services for free, gratis, free. I'll have to ask Elijah how to say it in Francois.
Say that then.
Francois. En español, la palabra es gratis. So, Dr. Mack is offering his expertise in our history to talk to our people for free in an effort to educate us. And I do say us because I need a big dose of it.
Well, we all are, and Doc, let me be clear. As much as I study our history, I'm a student of it. I ain't proclaiming to know, somebody, hey, you got that wrong. Okay, fam, just help me, teach me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, even with Morgan Freeman and Draymond, I'm hurt by what they did. I ain't mad at them. I still love the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But so we just got it. We all students in this game, and if I feel like I got something to offer cool in the game, and I'm hoping that Right now, churches are lining up and the invitations are coming in, and I told them if I get 1,000 invitations for 1,000 straight days, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So we'll see.
Right.
I just when it's all said and done, I don't want to look back and say, man, I wish I had done this. That's the worst thing you could do is when you could have, you didn't. Now that you want to, you can't.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. If only you had. So reach out to me or reach out to Dr. Carl Mack directly on social media.
You be my agent, Doc. You be my agent on the West Coast.
I got you. So contact me,
yeah,
Dr.
and
T.
Doc. And Doc, if I come out to California, I don't need all that fancy food. Just a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we good.
He also likes grits and eggs.
Believe that.
Ham and cheese.
Nah.
You know Mama Rose gonna track you down and send you a honey baked meal.
Well, she gonna do what she do. I'm her baby now. Let's not forget that. I'm her baby.
But a very modest gentleman. But I appreciate you. I appreciate your wisdom and your time and always your willingness to educate us.
Doc, I appreciate you allowing us to use your platform to talk about us.
And you can talk about anything you want, Dr. Mack.
No, I'm cool in the gang. I'm done. As a matter of fact, I'm hungry. I'm get in here and get me something to eat right now, if you don't mind.
What you eating? As if I can taste it.
Right. I got some. I'm thinking about. I'm not far off of. I'm looking at a real nice salad down there. It's a chopped salad. Just something simple.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be a long night. I got some more research to do tonight.
I love researching. But now I have an extra pair of eyes, so it's not so much fun.
There you go.
But all right, so thank you so much. I'm gonna let you go so you can feed yourself and keep yourself nice and strong.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you. So for my listeners and viewers out there, if you guys want someone who is very learned, intelligent brother that's going to change your world by giving you perhaps what you've missed or maybe what you have forgotten to get you in touch with realities about yourself, especially if you are a Black person living in this country, some realities and hard truths to be able to answer some questions perhaps that you might have about yourself, your ancestors, your culture. It's okay if you don't know, but it's not okay to be shaken, maybe not all the way awakened, but to have some light insight or a little bit of knowledge and to not further explore it. All right. So don't forget, we were not totally free until December 6th. Is that what he said? 1865. So
December 6th, 1865. You get an A for that, Doc.
You still there? Hey, he gave me an A, y'all. Hey. So that is important to know. And he also stated that here in the state of California, that reparations that you hear us refer to as 40 acres and a mule, there is actually some real movement on that. So we know that we had incidents at, what beach was that? Was that Redondo Beach or Hermosa Beach, where a large part of the land belonged to a Black family that they were entitled to?
Yeah, they sold it, yeah.
And they ended up selling it. I don't know how much. What did it sell for?
Like 20, 40 million, something like
20 or 40 million. That was their 40 acres and a mule. So it's happening. These are real things that are happening. So make sure, Black people, that you are gearing yourself up so that when it's time for you to receive, one of the things we don't think about oftentimes are our generations to come, generational wealth, and things like that, making sure that our children and four children to come are in better situations than what they are. Our children have to be able to compete in terms of education, which is one of the most important things to me. My grandmother just passed away 2 days ago. So now she is an ancestor. And just being able to draw off of her wisdom and her greatness, is what propels me through, because I actually got to live in her glory. So that's what made me and makes me the woman that I am, is to be able to have that. So not everyone has that. So that is the importance, too, of understanding that we truly come from kings and queens, and being able to connect with that. Because genetically, our DNA, it's already encrypted in who we are. You can't run from it. So the only thing, or the best thing to be able to do, is to embrace it and to live in your truth. Never should you be down on your knees begging or not have. All right? So if you're living like that, you're not living in your truth. And there's somewhere along the path that you missed it. And guess what? You're able to tap back into it. Got to have faith and belief. Get up and do some work. Faith without work is what, Nick?
Dead.
It's dead. So do the work. Be willing to get the knowledge.
Really quick, Doc.
Yes, please.
Can I just explain what that actually means?
Please, of course,
Because
Nick.
I feel like black people take sayings out the Bible all the time.
Okay.
And we just use them how we want to use them.
Yes.
Faith without works is dead. Okay, what that means is, if you actually believe in something, you're going to work at it because you believe it's possible to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve.
Amen.
It doesn't mean, which most people interpret it as, sit around and wait for something to happen and have faith that it's going to happen, right? It's saying, like, if Michael Jordan believes he's the greatest basketball player to ever live, right, he's not going to sit at home and think this. He's going to go to the gym and work out. And then when the game comes, he's going to shoot the last shot. He's going to take the risk because he actually believes. He actually has faith that what he thinks is possible.
Absolutely.
So the proof of your faith is the work that you put in.
Absolutely.
It's nothing else. So that you're going to be judged off the actual labor you put in to demonstrate your actual faith.
Yes.
So we got to put the legwork in. Like my brother was saying earlier, we all got to get up and do something. Lay your brick,
Yeah.
Put your brick in.
Yeah. And it's yours if you want it. I mean, for me, I serve a God with no limitations. I never heard him say, there's a limit. People say the sky's the limit. I always say this. Nope. It's really not.
That's not true.
It's not. Beyond the skies.
Yeah.
God never said you only can touch the sky. Guess what? Astronauts have already done that. They've gone beyond the sky. That's how you know the sky's not the limit. So don't set limitations upon yourself. Soar as high as you can go. Don't forget the people who deserve to be with you on your journey. All right? So stay blessed. Be blessed. This show is dedicated to my lovely grandmother who taught me so much. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. And I will see you again next Thursday, if God says the same. Bye. Thank you, Dr. Mack.